Hey, this is Mr. Ward, and welcome to the Algebra Do Now 32.1 video key, week 32, day 1. So this will look pretty familiar. I made very similar questions to the Do Now and exit ticket from Friday or Thursday last week. So first thing we want to do is we factor this quadratic. Now, those of you who've gotten to level 6 will probably notice that this is a perfect square. It starts with a perfect square, it ends with a perfect square, and the middle is 2 times the square root of that times the square root of that. So we can just factor this as x plus 4 squared. Now, if you haven't gotten to that, that's fine, because you could always figure out that two factors of 16 that add up to 8 are both 4. X plus 4 times x plus 4 is the same as x plus 4 squared. So you might have factored it as x plus 4 times x plus 4. And that would be good too. All right, now we're going to consider a variation on this equation. So you might notice it's got an x squared and an 8x again, but now it's plus 11 equals 95. So what we want to do is we want to figure out what would we add to both sides of this equation so that the left side could be factored into x plus 4 squared, just like we were able to do on the last question. So this factors into x plus 4 squared, so we need to turn this into this. So here, I'll copy pasta this into the answer space, and we want to turn that into this, x squared plus 8x plus 16. So how are we going to do that? Well, all I have to change is the 11, and the way I change the 11 into a 16 is I add 5. And then I also have to add 5 to 95. And so that'll end up with x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 95 plus 5 is 100. Ooh, that's neat. That's a perfect square. So I end up with something that factors into x plus 4 squared equals something that that is a perfect square. Okay, so in the last one, in the next one, I kind of lay it out for you what you needed to do. So you would add 5 to both sides. So now you've got something that could factor into this. X plus 4 squared equals 100. We're going to get the square root of both sides of that. Okay, so the square root of that and the square root of 100. Now, when I get the square root of a square, the square root and the square cancel out. I'm just left with x plus 4. Over on the right side, however, I'm getting the square root of 100. So that's going to be 10 or negative 10. So I'm also going to have x plus 4 equals negative 10. All right. And then I'm supposed to solve for x. Well, now we just got a one-step equation to deal with. So minus 4 on both sides to get rid of plus 4, minus 4, and minus 4. So I've got these two equations. So the one on the left, if I subtract 4 from the left side, I'm left with x. If I subtract 4 from the right side, I'm left with 6. Don't confuse that for me subtracting a negative 4. I'm just indicating I'm subtracting 4 there. Okay, on the second version of it, x plus 4 equals negative 10, I'm going to end up with x on the left side, and negative 10 minus 4 is going to equal negative 14. Okay, similar problem here. We've got x squared minus 18x plus 18. We need two factors of 81 that add up to negative 18. Of course, this is a perfect square. There's a perfect square, and 81 is a perfect square of either 9 or negative 9. And we need the middle, we got a middle term that needs to be 2 times the square root of that times the square root of that. And since it's negative, we're looking for the negative square root of that. So we would end up with x minus 9 squared. Okay, and that would work. Two factors of 81 that add up to negative 18 are negative 9. So it's x minus 9 times x minus 9. All right, let's go down here, and we're going to have this. And we want to figure out what would we add to both sides of this so that the left side could be factored in x minus 9 squared, which is what we just did. So what we're really asking is, how do I turn this on the left into a perfect square? What do I do? Well, I don't have to do anything to x squared. I don't have to do anything to negative 18x, but I do have to do something to 17. So what would I add to 17 to get 81? Okay, the thing I would add to 17 to get 81 is going to be 64. And I have to add that to both sides. And so I end up with x squared minus 18x plus 18 equals 0 plus 64, which is 64. And then that factors, of course, back into x minus 9 squared equals 64. Okay, and then on the next question, it's going to ask us to get the square root of both sides and solve for x. So there we go. We'll get the square root of both sides. Pick a different color this time. We'll go with blue. Okay, here's my square root of that. And we get a square root of 64. And when we get the square root of the square of x minus 9, we just get x minus 9 because the square root and the square cancel each other out. However, the square root of 64 is either 8 or negative 8. So I'm going to have x minus 9 equals 8, and x minus 9 equals negative 8. And so now I'm going to add 9 to both sides. Get rid of minus 9. And so on the left side, x minus 9 just becomes x, and 8 plus 9 is going to be 17. On the right side here, on this other version, x minus 9 still becomes x because I added 9 to get rid of minus 9, and negative 8 plus 9 becomes 1. And so those are my solutions for that question. I hope that was helpful for you.